instantaneously, within moments, they were there with lots of ambulances taking them to various hospitals. And that's the scene tonight at Centennial Park. There were more people being wheeled into, I think that's Grady Memorial Hospital, where our NBC affiliate in Atlanta, WXIA, is located. Okay. Del Rogers of WXIA is at the Police Command Center now. Del, what do you have for us? Del, we're on with you right now.
Hall East. It's the police headquarters on Ponce de Leon Street here in Atlanta. Now, we got here about half an hour after it happened, and what we saw was a white van come in with a police escort. We do not know what's in that van. I talked to my sources here, and they told me that there is apparently another bomb that they're x-raying. This was about 20 minutes ago. Now, there was a 2-minute warning that they said they had received, that there was a bomb there for people to get away. They had 2 minutes to get away. Right behind me is the City Hall East. This is police headquarters, and like I said earlier, there seems to be something going on. They will not come out and speak to us. I spoke to my source, though, and he said that they had asked him to come out and secure the building, and there were two police cruisers came out. So I think something's still continuing going on. Tom?
Right. Thanks very much, Del Rogers, who's at the police command post. There had been earlier reports that there might have been additional bomb scares. That's not unusual in situations like this. More crazed and depraved people will get on the telephone and try to cause more trouble. But there has been no confirmation of that whatsoever. Bill Ray is a record producer who was on stage with Jack Mack and the Heart Attack. That's the band that was playing at the time. They just completed a number when the explosion occurred. Bill is on the phone with us now. Mr. Ray, are you there? Yeah, Mr. Ray, this is Tom Brokaw. Well, how are you doing is the more important question. Can you hear me now, Mr. Ray?
Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Ray, can you hear me now? This is Tom Brokaw.
Hello?
Well, apparently we're experiencing momentarily some technical difficulties. Bill Ray, can you hear me now?
Bill Ray, can you hear me now? Turn it up.
Yeah. All right.
I can't hear you, but I can hear you over the TV. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So just listen to me over the TV. Just tell me what happened when you were standing there. Now you've heard the question over the TV. Now tell us on the telephone what happened.
They had cleared us. We'd had a warning about a package, so they had cleared everybody out of the sound booth, cleared the light people, the video crew. Everyone was out, and the police were coming to check it. I guess the bomb squad was on the way, and we were helping move people back without panicking them and just kind of asking people to step back, step back. Everyone was helping. The security, the police were great, and the sound crew guys were helping everybody. And then we were moving everybody back, and there was one, I think he was a policeman. He had a vest on next to me, and I turned. The lady wanted to go get her purse, and I told her she couldn't, and I turned to pull her back. And when I did, I was facing right at the thing when it went off, and then it hit the one guy in the back of the head, and he didn't know what was happening, another guy, so I ran and grabbed him, pulled him to the ground, pulled the other guy to the ground. Then there was a camera guy that was hurt, looked like in the back of the head and the shoulder. I pulled him down, and then after I held them for a minute, there were people rushing up, and then there was another lady that I told her to sit down, and then the police, when they came in, everybody started grabbing, saying, get back, so I just went and helped other people, and there was one man I saw fall, and I went and helped him and carried him to the security thing. And then the police started talking to me, and then all the news people, and I just went and talked to the police. And I'm barely hearing you, but I hope it's you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you, and that's a very complete report. Did they tell you what kind of a bomb threat that they had received, or did they just say that we've got to clear this area because we've gotten a warning?
No, so they didn't say what kind, but every day they had said, watch for any packages that were sitting by itself, and no one around it. So we were all aware of that every night, and I've been here for several days, so we all were aware of it. And then once somebody had found it and the security people told us, we just made sure everybody was out, and everyone helped. All the people were great, everybody involved, and the way the security handled it and the police, and they didn't want to panic anybody, so we were just moving everybody back. And I helped, after the first few, I helped quite a few people that were just, had like hurt arms, and the shrapnel, I guess is what it was. I couldn't tell, and all I know is the Lord was watching out for me.
And the rest of the band is okay?
Yes, sir. They were on stage, and I was out actually at the sound booth with the people working there, you know, and they all helped. And now I can hear you over the phone. This makes it a little better.
All right, I'm going to tell you, Mr. Ray, what we'd like you to do is to pass the telephone to Andrew Kestner, I'm told, who's one of the guitarists, and I'll talk to him in a moment. But first, if he just stays on the phone, I'm going to go now to one of the hospitals.
Well, he's right here by me.
Okay, just have him hang on to the phone because we're going to go to a hospital and then come back to him, okay?
Okay.
You guys stay on the phone.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Beth Galvin, what hospital are you at, Beth?
Tom, I'm standing at Georgia Baptist Hospital, which is one of several local area hospitals that are taking in the wounded. What we are seeing mostly here are what we call the walking wounded. About 45 people have come in here. Most of them have been able to come in on their own or with the help of somebody else. A lot, though, have come in by ambulance. One person at least has required some surgery and is upstairs. The rest of them are mostly being treated for minor lacerations. I have Leanne Broussard, who is the spokeswoman for Georgia Baptist Hospital. What is it like inside? What are you seeing?
Beth, right now, I think we can say that we're working really hard to get everybody calm. You know, the people that are coming in, because most of them just look like they're in such disbelief over what has happened. We are fully staffed. All of our physicians from the emergency department have come in from around the city. All of our nurses, I mean, we're just totally equipped to handle it. The walk-in wounded, it's just minor lacerations, cuts on their arms or legs. Only one woman had to be taken to the operating room. She had a laceration to the leg that might have cut into the muscle. That was the only serious one. But most of them, the victims that come in, they just come in with a look of shock, disbelief, like they can't believe it happened. What
are they saying?
They're not really saying anything. A lot of them just walk in and they're just shaking their heads. It's like they really just cannot believe it. None of them have really talked with us about what they've experienced. I think they're just trying to calm down and get over this thing that's happened to them.
Leanne, we saw some officers on the video earlier being brought in from the State Olympic Law Enforcement Command. How are they doing? Obviously, many officers were in that area when the package went off.
Right. I believe we brought in 2 law enforcement individuals. I'm not sure which agency they're with. They were apparently, I think, knocked out at the time of the explosion, and they were brought in, but they're fine. We're just observing them and making sure, you know, that they're okay.
Is it calm in there? Are people very, obviously they're very upset, but what's the situation like in there?
No, actually, everybody's very calm. I mean, they know they have a job to do. This is something that our hospital and other hospitals in the city have been drilled a million times on for the past year because of the Olympics. And it's something that we've prepared for. I mean, if it had to happen, we knew that we would have a job to do. We would know how to do it. We got the people in, and that's what we're doing. So it's pretty calm in that respect. It's just people are in disbelief about what's happened. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it.
Yeah, you can. I don't think any of us can believe it. Tom, we are live at Georgia Baptist Hospital. Thank you very much, Leanne Broussard. Back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Beth Galvin. You heard the report of injuries of people who, many of them are the walking wounded in Beth's apt phrase, going into Georgia Baptist. Also, they're going to 2 other hospitals this morning. We still do not have an accurate count on the fatalities. They've ranged all the way from 1 confirmed dead, that was the mayor, William Campbell, up to 4 dead. That was an earlier report. We're getting additional reports as well, including one from our own NBC News, Bob Dotson, that police either have had other warnings of bombs or they have found other devices. We're attempting to track that down at this time. Those are unconfirmed reports. Bob Dotson, who lives here in Atlanta, however, has been talking to police, and he tells us that that's the case. Let's go now to Jim Gray. Jim?
Hello? Mr. O'Neill is here with me of NBC News.
I just said hello. I was on the air. Did you?
I'm Andrew Kastner, who is one of the guitarists for the band that was playing at the time, Jack Mack and the Heart Attack, has been waiting on the telephone. He's going to tell us what it was like for him on stage there. Andrew, you had just completed, what, a set or a song?
A song. We were about 3/4 of the way through our set, and we just finished a song, and we were just about to start the next one. And boom, the bomb went off, and I knew it was a bomb immediately. It just felt like a bomb. You saw the shrapnel and everything flying through the air. It was about, I don't know, 150 feet to 200 feet in front of the stage, a little off to the left at the sound booth.
All right, Andrew, I'll tell you what we're going to do. You have a television set on where you are?
Yeah.
All right, turn around and look at it on NBC, and we're going to show you a wide shot of the end of that song.
Okay.
About what happened, and then we'll talk about it right after we see it.
Okay, that's our lead singer, TC, that you see on the big screen there. And bam, then it just went off. And
what was your first thought, Andrew?
Actually, my first thought was a bomb. It was so loud, and it blew me back, you know, like a few inches, and I really felt it in my chest. And no one ran from this. You can see that we're just standing there. All the people on stage are just standing. We just didn't know what to do. We didn't know where to go. And it was, you know, we've been playing on the stage for almost a week now, every night. And earlier, we played a set at 11 o'clock, and there was 50,000 people out there.
Mm-hmm. Andrew, tell us how you felt when you felt the concussion hit your chest.
Well, it was, you know, I just talked to a couple of the other band members. One of the guys had something in his eye, and Bill Ray, who's standing next to me here, was telling me that he got blown off his feet, but he was right next to it. And I have to say something about Bill Ray, because he's an amazing person. He might have saved that lady's life when he kept her from walking in front of that thing, and really helped that poor security guard or policeman who got hit in the back of the neck. But you know, it was just like a pressure in the chest, you know, really. And
the rest of the band is okay?
Yeah, we're all okay. I just want to tell our friends and families that we're all okay. We're here at the hotel, and we're just watching on TV.
All right, thanks very much, Andrew Kastner, for sharing with us this very somber experience tonight with the explosion going off. We wish you all the best.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Andrew Kastner and Bill Ray from the band Jack Mack and the Heart Attack, which has been drawing big crowds at Centennial Park tonight. Unfortunately, a crowd that was there tonight in harm's way when there was an explosive device that went off at 1:15 this morning. A lot of injuries and some fatalities. How many, we cannot say. At least 2 were told by one source, 1 by the mayor, up to 4, according to some state authorities. Jim Gray from NBC Sports has been out there all night long talking to a lot of people as well, and he's back with us now. Jim?
Well, Tom, what we're waiting for now is we're at ACOG headquarters on the corner of Williams and Baker Street. We are waiting for a press conference to be held. We're told by the FBI, ACOG, as well as the local police chief from Atlanta. Now, some information that we do have, they are still sending response teams and ambulances into the area. We just saw 4 more ambulances come into the area. Police tell us that there are still people on the scene who are injured, who are being attended to. And now we've also heard a number of injuries. We've been told by the Fulton County Chemical Response Team that there are more than 100 people who are in the area who are injured, who need some response. I'm also joined right here by Roger O'Neill. Roger, you have some information as to what this may have been, a pipe bomb.
Well, we're hearing some of the same things that other people are hearing, and one that it appears at first glance to be a pipe bomb, which was around a light pole or a pole of some sort that was being used for projection equipment and holding lights for one of the shows in the area here. There is some good news, I guess, if it's true, and that is that around that pole was some security, just to secure the equipment on the pole. So there was about 15 feet of space there where no one was. That may have helped some when the explosion occurred, if all of this information is true.
Do you know if some of the people hurt are security people?
No, I do not. I have not heard that yet.
Now, Bob Serkin, who also works with us here at NBC Sports for this Olympic unit, has some later information. Bob, what is it that you know?
Well, originally, when we talked to Gary McConnell, who runs the state command post, he told us there were 4 unconfirmed deaths and at least 15 injuries, but that was over an hour ago. More recently, commander on scene for the Fulton County Chemical Response Team, who was inside the park attending to victims and helping to determine whether there was any chemical action involved in this, told me there were about 100 injuries.
All right, Bob Serkin and Roger O'Neill will be standing by here. We are told by ACOG officials, in fact, we have seen Billy Payne's driver standing outside. He, of course, is the head of the Olympic Committee. He is inside. Dave Maggart, one of the high-ranking officials from ACOG, is inside. Investigators from the FBI, as well as the Atlanta Police Chief, are expected here momentarily. We have a chaotic scene out here, Tom. The media getting upset in all of this now because they've been told to come here to 250 William Street, which is ACOG headquarters in the main press center, and they have been asked to come here by the chief of police and by the police department to attend this press conference, and now they will not let us in. So we will stand outside here, talk to officials, and get back to you when we have some more information, Tom.
All right, thanks very much. Jim Gray at the site. We are hearing from Pete Williams in Washington, who covers Justice Department for NBC News. He says the FBI is not yet confirming it is a bomb. They won't until their own agents confirm it. Bureau agents are now on the scene. They're investigating, and the word may come shortly. But for now, as of 4 a.m. Eastern Time, that was just 5 minutes ago, no official FBI confirmation. However, all the suspicion leads us to the idea that it was some kind of crude explosive device because people were cleared out moments before the explosion by security personnel in the area, including Atlanta police, and then the explosion occurred. One of our cameramen even had pictures of what was described as a suspicious package by the police who were trying to clear him away from the tower at the time of the concert. Let's go now to one more eyewitness. These are the people who were there tonight and went through this very traumatic experience.
And all of a sudden a large explosion went off. It was very loud. It was about 30 feet to the right of the stage, and it was in those two transformer towers. It looked like the second tower.
How far were you from the scene?
110 feet.
And then what did you see immediately after that?
My recollection.
This is Channel 11 News, your 24-hour news source.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Esther Tro. We continue our live local coverage now of this explosion at the Olympic Games. There is reported chaos down in Centennial Park at the Olympic Games. We have Channel 11's Bill Wilson standing by live now on the telephone. He has been on the scene all night. Bill, can you hear me?
Yes, Esther, I can. We were within probably about a block of Centennial Park. That's as close as we can get because we were met by an army of cops and really a sea of reporters. It is mass confusion, utter chaos. Is about the only way that I can describe what myself and photographer Tim Holloman have seen. We've talked to numerous eyewitnesses. One Atlanta man says he was 40 feet from the explosion and says he was almost knocked down by the blast. Another says people were trampled by the crush of people panicking, Esther.
Well, Bill, let me ask you this. Right now, it is not clear as to whether there are other bomb scares or other explosive devices found. Have you seen or heard anything there regarding that?
We have just heard some unconfirmed information, and this was from a policeman who talked to his wife. I mean, this is how second or third hand we're getting that there might have been some other devices found at the scene.
All right, Bill, you talked to us just yesterday about getting through security there in Atlanta and how perhaps lax security is in Centennial Park. Can you tell me again how security is there right now?
Okay, right now it's very tight. I mean, it's closed down. We can't get within a block of the park. In fact, at one point, they moved us back further away. Yesterday at the Olympic Stadium, we were actually able to get inside the stadium around the metal detectors. We didn't go through any security at all. We got around the metal detectors, inside the stadium, through the ticket gates. We had no credentials, nothing. We could have been anybody, posing as journalists, and we got through.
Also, Bill, I'm not sure exactly how soon you were on scene right after the explosion, but can you give us an idea of what you saw when looking into people's faces? Was it mass panic, people running, pushing? Can you tell us more about that?
It was a great time delay. We had to park blocks from where we walked to. We probably walked 8, 10, 15 blocks. And then by the time we got there, things had calmed down, but still there was this sea of reporters, massive reporters showing up, and the police really don't have a handle on it. They can't handle the media now, media crush that is at that scene right now.
Can you see the tower where you said you were about a block away? Could you at any point see the tower?
And I don't know how familiar our viewers are with Atlanta. I'm not that familiar with it. We were at the Atlanta Apparel Mart, and that apparently is about a block from the park.
Now, it sounds to me like the police are calling some kind of a press conference, calling the media to one location. Is that, in fact, what's happening right now?
We've been called to one location and then sent to another and sent to another. It's like I said, it's confusion, and the police don't have a handle on it yet. As far as dealing with the media, I think they have the scene itself under control, But as far as the crush of media, they don't have a handle on it.
We're also seeing pictures of people moving in and out, a lot of activity there. It looks like official type of activity. Can you describe on scene what's happening right now?
When we got within a couple blocks, we were met with probably about 20 ambulances just parked on one street, filling one street double side up the street. And these ambulances, we assume, were on standby in case there were some other injuries. A lot of police, a lot of eyewitnesses were still around. We were surprised because from where we were staying in Atlanta is about 3 or 4 miles north of where this happened. By the time we got down there, you know, probably an hour and a half had passed. And then, of course, we had to do this walk, too. So, but it was surprising. There were still a lot of eyewitnesses, and you could just look on their face and see the unbelievability of it all.
Mm-hmm. We also heard some reports that the military is being brought in. Have you seen any activity in that regard?
There have been military here all along, and that's not unusual. I don't know what type of military you're talking about, but there have been military police officers here helping with security all along.
All right. I'm not sure if you spoke with anybody recently regarding this, but is this something that was in the back of anybody's mind that you spoke with after the Flight 800 last week?
I think it might have been in the back of their minds. I think it was probably all of our worst fear. When I went to get my photographer out of bed this morning, he couldn't believe it. He thought I was joking. And I think that's pretty much all of our feeling, that we just can't believe that it happened.
Let's go back to the security issues again. If you could be more specific about in Centennial Park, how lax, if that's indeed the case, how lax security is there?
We don't really, we can't really say about Centennial Park. We've been in Centennial Park a couple of times. There were security stations set up. Obviously, people's packages were not checked. They looked you over, and just to make sure that you didn't look suspicious. But as far as packages being checked, no, because there's thousands of people in and out of that park every hour, and that would be almost impossible.
Am I right in saying that none of the Olympic events happen there? The idea is to get crowds in and out, moving through Centennial Park. So that is one of the least secured areas, perhaps a target zone?
I think so, and I think you're exactly right. It is very unsecure. But then again, we found getting into the Olympic Stadium that was unsecure. I mean, we didn't have any credentials at all, and my photographer got inside within 30 feet. He could have walked right in the stand and had anything in his utility belt.
Now, from that tower, from what I understand, Georgia Power says that there's no transformer near that area, but it was the power to lights and sound for this concert. Is that, you think this was strategically planned?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand your question.
Do you think this, because if it is actually a bomb, this device was found in a garbage can right by the base of a tower that powers light and sound for this concert, do you think that had something to do with the size of this explosion?
That could be. We've been told that there were people hurt, and this is second or third hand. Maybe you all have a better handle on it, but we were told that people were hurt by the tower itself. So maybe they thought putting in a space of the tower would fall down.
All right, thank you very much, Bill Wilson. We're going to be coming back to you again throughout the morning, of course. We have live crews down at the scene of this explosion to get the latest information for you. We have some amazing pictures of the time that the explosion happened. You can actually see and see the camera shaking. Let's go ahead and take a look at that video right now.
Get out there. Get out there. You got to go.
See, right about now, we have the privilege of working with this.
Wow.
Exactly how powerful and large indeed that explosion was. There you could actually see the smoke and the flame shooting up in the air. This is something that we are not actually sure exactly how many people have been injured. There have been different reports, 50 to 60 according to the mayor of Atlanta, 75 people injured according to AP wires, and up to 100 people injured according to some of the response teams in that area. Also, there are 2 confirmed dead people because of this terrible explosion in the middle of a rock concert at Centennial Park and the Olympics. We're going to continue with our local live coverage throughout the morning. For now, I'm Esther Tro. We're going to go back to NBC.
One report from one of our cameramen that a suspicious package was found at the base of the tower. He rolled some video on that. He got back about 50 feet, and then that explosion occurred. Some of our NBC personnel have been toting up the number of injured from the various hospitals. So far, we've come up with a number of about 96. We don't know how many of them were critically hurt at this time. A lot of the wounds were superficial, and a lot of them were deeply psychologically as well. This has been a terrible emotional experience for them. At least 1 confirmed dead at Grady Memorial Hospital. That's the big county hospital here. It has the primary trauma ward, and that trauma ward was operating 24 hours a day. So there's first-rate medical care in the city of Atlanta, and especially in this area. Atlanta authorities are now stepping aside to let the investigation be handled by federal authorities. It'll be led by the Justice Department. The FBI bomb squad is on the scene, so is the ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Group. All right, let's go to Angela Robinson now, an anchor at WXIA, who is back at Centennial Park. Angela?
Yes, Tom. It happened about 1:20 tonight. We were about a block away. We heard this tremendous sound, as you've been reporting. We rushed back to the Centennial Park area. I'm talking to an eyewitness who was about 30 feet away from that tower, which is directly in front of the Swatch exhibit. The bottom part is where the explosion, he believes, hit. I personally saw about 4 people injured. Severe gash and blood coming from one man's arm. Another person was pressing very hard on his thigh. A lot of blood. Authorities and police officers were also pressing against another man's neck. A lot of blood coming from there. And of course, someone else was laid out with severe wound in the rib area. We have just gotten information from our reporters at the Police Command Center and also from some of our FBI sources that indeed officials were called shortly before this explosion went off. 911 call came in right before the bomb went off. It has been quite a scene down here at Centennial Olympic Park. I'm also here with my colleague Fred Khalil, who came over from the Aquatic Center, and we were talking about, as you had mentioned, Tom, about the security situation here in the park. We are all wearing several pieces of ID, and of course, we are scrutinized top to bottom, right, Fred?
Yeah, we are. We are the ones that are sanitized, as it were, in Olympic terms. And as Tom pointed out, you know, everyone goes through a credentialing process, but for the fans, and that really that's what the park is for. For the fans, they have no security checkpoints whatsoever.
We do understand it's a park. We wanted people to come down and enjoy. But like Fred was saying, we are the only ones that are checked and rechecked. Of course, anyone can come through the park and anything, of course, can happen. I talked to a witness who was 30 feet away from the area. He has been walking around with a backpack. And as he told us, not once in this week has anyone asked him anything and to check. He was there and he was just grateful that he was alive to tell about it. Once again, we saw 4 people severely injured, and I'm sure they've been taken to Grady and taken care of. And once again, our reporters on the scene at the Police Command Center say, yes, indeed, a call came in to officials, a 911 call about a warning about this explosion. Tom?
All right, thank you very much, Angela Robinson of WXIA. We have some additional information for you in about 12 minutes. We do expect to hear from officials from the International Olympic Committee and from the Atlanta Committee on the Olympic Games here in Atlanta, talking about what they now plan to do. We have been told by sources within those committees, however, that they expect these games to go forward, that they will lower the flags to half-staff. They'll have a moment of silence before any event begins, but that the athletes will begin to roll out of Olympic Village this morning to their various venues for the early calls at 5:30 this morning. Olympic Village is about 5 miles from here. It's a heavily secured area at Georgia Tech. There has been absolutely no sign of any difficulty there, but I'll bet that the security has been ratcheted up considerably. It's down and to the left of where Centennial Park is, if memory serves. So that's what we expect. It now happened just about 3 hours ago. this explosion in downtown Atlanta at Centennial Park. A man who was an eyewitness to it, in fact, was getting back from what was described as a suspicious package at the time, was KNBC cameraman Mark Field. Mark, tell us from the beginning what happened.
Well, Tom, I was just coming back to my live position, and a security guard had come over and told us that there's a suspicious package over there, and we're going to ask the crowd to move away, so you better move your live gear. At that point, I shot a picture of the package, which you're looking at right now. It looked like a leather type of, just one of those small soft leather bags, you might say. And at this point, the crowd that had been in front of my live location had already been evacuated. And at this point, I was moving my gear back and resetting to establish my signal live. And just as I was about to start rolling tape, there was a loud explosion, a flashbang explosion. My partner, Ron, was with me, was hurt. I like to say that he's okay. If his wife is listening, he's fine. And I was really concerned about him. And just like everyone else, I was in shock.
Mark, do you have any idea whether, in fact, that package was the source of the explosion?
Tom, as far as I'm concerned, that was the explosion. I saw the explosion. I was watching it. It was right in that location. I'm going to say 99% sure it was that package that exploded. It was the bottom left-hand corner of the mixed tower, as we call it. That's the sound and lighting stage. And we normally do our live shots approximately 15, 20 feet from that. And I had just moved over towards the sidewalk, so I was still probably 30 to 50 feet from the explosion when it happened. I felt a concussion. I felt some debris. I'm still feeling a little light burning sensation in my legs.
All right, Mark, we're gonna show the explosion one more time. I don't know whether you can see this is from a different angle and from a different camera. Here's what happened.
Okay. I see that, as a matter of fact, Tom, and I was a witness to it. It was a large flash and a big bang, and I was in disbelief that it was a bomb. You know, and then once I started shooting, I saw that there were police officers down. People were bleeding, bleeding from the ears. Some people were bleeding on the legs. There wasn't a real lot of panic. I think most people were in shock. And just as I'm still a little bit in shock myself, I was very concerned about my partner, Ron, who's been very helpful with me. Once again, he's fine, which I'm very happy he is.
Ron had some superficial injuries, I gather, what, from shrapnel, do you think?
Well, actually, the police had pushed me away. I was trying to talk to Ron. They pushed me away. I think he was just in shock. He might have gone a little deaf from the sound of the explosion. And I actually think he protected me a little bit because he was literally right in front of me as the explosion happened. And I guess as any good cameraman did, I just started rolling and tried to record what I could.
Yeah, Mark, you've been in that area, what, for the past several days now, right?
Actually, I've been here for 5 weeks, Tom.
Yeah, so and have you had other incidents where the police have come to you and said, listen, we'd like you to clear out of the area because we've got to...
Actually, that's the first incident. I've made friends with the police, the undercover police, the security. They've all been great. I can't say anything bad about them. They've been wonderful. I think everyone at the park and in Atlanta has been so friendly. I'm very impressed with the people. Everyone's been super. So for something like this to happen is a complete shock to me.
When they told you that they had what they thought was a suspicious package, was there a great urgency at the time?
There was an urgency, but it was a calm urgency. They did not want to panic the crowd. What happened was they had already cleared out the people approximately, I'm going to say in the circumference of about 100 feet in that area. But there were still people on the sidewalk close to it, and they were just in the process of pushing people farther back when the bomb exploded.
All right, thanks very much, Mark Field. Well done, and our best to your partner as well, Ron. We're told that he has been treated and released from Georgia Baptist Hospital, so we'll let you get back to the job at hand here. Thanks very much, Mark. That's Mark Field from KNBC. He did have a picture of what he believed was the package, and that was exactly where the explosion occurred. He was being cleared back at the time by Atlanta police. He's gotten to know them well. They cleared him back about 50 feet, and then there was this terrible bang, and the consequences of which we've been sharing with you for the past 3.5 hours now. Let's go now to a doctor who has been treating some of the injured recorded earlier.
What, about 4 or 5 patients so far? But like I said, we only see patients if they've already been seen and evaluated, and then we see them.
Any sense of how many in the emergency room? in the emergency room, or how many have
I don't
been
know,
brought
maybe
in the
about
last hour
maybe
or
a couple of dozen. Yeah,
a couple of dozen.
I've seen about 20 people being treated, but the injuries range from very minor to serious. So.
What is the most serious?
Shrapnel? Any fatalities?
We're seeing a lot of shrapnel injury, yeah. But like I said, we're not seeing everyone. We're just seeing a few people, and we're getting someone set up.
We've seen a couple of shrapnel injuries to head or saw one shrapnel injury to the back. Not really aware of what the outcome of that patient was. But.
Your name?
Dr. Trawick, Roy Trawick, orthopedics.
And yours? Dr. Reddy, orthopedics.
Can you please spell it?
All right, those are some of the doctors who are treating the injuries. You heard them describe the nature of the wounds that people have suffered. Most of them appear to have been shrapnel wounds because a lot of that tower was scattered at the time, a lot of metal. Jim Gray is standing by now. He has been summoned to police headquarters where he was told that there would be some kind of an announcement, and he's been gathering information for us. He's at ACOG headquarters. ACOG stands for the Atlantic Committee on the Olympic Games. Jim?
That's right, Tom. We're on the corner of Williams and Baker Street. We're approximately 2 blocks away from where the explosion occurred. This has been the home of ACOG for the past 5 years, just after they were awarded the games. This is where they have called their headquarters. People now gathering. We're told that A.D. Frazier, who is in the second in command, as well as Billy Payne are in the building. A.D. Frazier will have a press conference. A lead member of the IOC will also attend. We're told that the police chief of Atlanta will be there, as well as the FBI. Now, Roger O'Neill, this press conference, by the way, should take place at about 4:30 Eastern time, which is in about 5 minutes, but all of the press is still being detained outside. So if they're going to have a press conference, it's going to be much later than that. Now, Roger O'Neill has been working the telephone here. He has some brand new information, and Roger, pass on what you have.
Well, the information we're getting, Jim and Tom, is that most of the injuries appear to be relatively minor. That is good news. Secondly, we're hearing again that they are operating under the assumption that it was a pipe bomb that went off. We are hearing from sources inside of the command center that the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is in charge of this operation right now. Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, ATF, the federal agents, the experts in this kind of sort of stuff are on scene with several vans and several truckloads of agents, and they are beginning that investigation. We have not heard yet that the FBI has taken control of the investigation, but one would assume that would happen fairly soon.
Roger, familiar with these type of cases, having reported on them in the past. What will be the procedure? How long will it take to determine? And you also had some inkling from your security sources that something like this was prevalent.
Well, if it's a pipe bomb, the shrapnel, which we've heard injured a number of people, that would be fairly easy to determine as soon as those folks get to the hospital and the surgeons and the doctors begin to treat those people. They'll see that kind of shrapnel, and they'll be able to tell fairly quickly whether it was a pipe bomb or not. Certainly, there will be some pieces of evidence around where, if it was a pipe bomb that went off, would be around there. This, we are told, Tom, took place at a pole which was holding some of the projection equipment and light equipment for these shows that was going on. And around that pole was a security
What you just heard was not a problem. That was a police barricade. All the barricades just fell off, so that loud sound you just heard was nothing to be alarmed about, just the police dropping some fencing. Go ahead, Roger.
Around that pole where they believe the pipe bomb was, there was a secure area of 10 or 15 feet so that there weren't a lot of people around that. That's the latest information we're getting right now.
As we await Tom to go inside to the ACOG press conference along with the FBI and so forth, we'll be standing outside here. John Frankel is here, Roger O'Neill. We'll be back to you when we have some more information.
All right,
Tom?
Thanks very much, Jim Gray and Roger O'Neill and John Frankel from NBC Sports and NBC News. It does appear that news conference will be delayed. I'm hearing now from Washington that the FBI does not want to say anything publicly until it furthers its investigation as to the nature of this explosion. We've heard from federal authorities that it was an explosive device. The FBI will not say publicly yet, however, that it was a bomb. And I cannot imagine that either the Olympic officials or city officials want to go public until they know some more from the FBI. Our hope and guess is that it's all being carefully coordinated. Dave Statter of WXIA is at Atlanta Police Headquarters now. Dave?
Tom, we have also been working the telephones, much as Roger has, trying to get some information from law enforcement sources close to this investigation. One thing that we have learned, which was mentioned briefly earlier, is that there is a tape recording that was made at the 911 dispatch center of a call that came in. The exact timing of the call is not known at this time, but federal investigators are trying to get a hold of this tape recording and listen to it. It makes reference to an explosion or a bomb. They want to hear exactly what was said on that tape recording that came into the 911 center. Apparently a crucial piece of evidence they want to hear. Again, the exact timing of that is not known. It is believed it came in before the explosion occurred, but that is not really clear at this time. Tom?
All right, thanks, Dave Statter. When do you think that we may be able to hear more from that 911 tape, Dave?
Well, we understand that there was immediate procedure going on, immediate access trying to be obtained of that tape from the 911 center, and then we understand that the Atlanta police were trying to get it into the hands of federal authorities, so they should have it very soon. That was being worked on just within the last half hour.
And Dave, you've been covering the city of Atlanta all this week. Have they had a number of those kinds of calls that they've had to check out?
Well, obviously there have been bags left here and there that need to be checked out. There have been a number of situations since this explosion has occurred where the bomb squads have been called in to check suspicious packages. Again, we've also heard reports of possibly other devices being found this morning. None of that has been officially confirmed by federal authorities, but they are looking into that.
Well, let me be clear about the 911 tape based on what you've been able to learn. It was that there was some kind of a warning, not that there was a suspicious package, right?
Well, that's a good question at this point, Tom. They are going to listen to the tape. The early understanding is that it may have come in before the bomb exploded, indicating a warning, but there's also the possibility that it came in immediately after. Our sources at this point are not clear on that, and they're waiting to hear from what they hear from their agents that are listening to the tape. All right, thanks very much. Dave Statter, who is live at the Atlanta Police Headquarters. There is a tape from 911 either right before or right after the explosion, and federal authorities, we're told, are examining that. A news conference was scheduled for right now. Let's go to Beth Galvin now, who is at Georgia Baptist Hospital. It's one of the hospitals not too far from here where a lot of the walking wounded and other more seriously injured people were taken. Beth?
Tom, the count is now at 51 on the number of people who were brought in here. We're told that the vast majority of them suffered only minor injuries, cuts and scrapes from shrapnel and that kind of stuff. 2 of them have suffered more serious injuries. They are now up in surgery. And I am joining you live with Dr. Mark Waterman. You were on duty when this happened. Tell me what this was like.
We've seen a total of 51 patients over the last hour and a half or so. Most with, luckily, minor injuries, 2 with more major injuries that had to go to the operating room. They're both stable, not critical, suffering from lacerations, blast-type injuries.
You have trained to do this a lot.
That's correct.
Were you ready?
Yes, I think we were. Didn't want to go through it as soon as it happened. Kind of a sense of outrage more than anything else right now that this should occur.
You're a native Atlanta. Is it tough? Native Atlantan, is it tough to stand in there and see these folks?
We just don't know what to expect, what's going to happen next, what's going to occur, so it's quite tough.
That is Dr. Mark Waterman sharing a sentiment that I think a lot of people here in Atlanta share, and probably all over the country and the world, not knowing what to expect next. Tom?
Thank you very much, Beth Galvin. Understandably, the people of Atlanta and the people of this country, for that matter, are feeling terribly wounded by this incident tonight. Atlanta particularly had such great pride that they were able to win the 100th celebration of the Olympic Games, and they had worked very hard for the last 10 years to not only win the Games, but to stage them in a way that everyone would have simply a good time with lots of Southern hospitality, and then this. It happened at about 1:15 this morning Eastern Time, a rock concert at Centennial Park here in Atlanta. That's a place that was created especially for the thousands of visitors who came from around the world to enjoy these games, so they'd have a place to go during the day, in the evening, and if they did not have a ticket. It was very much a part of the masterworks of the Atlanta Olympic design. It was a place that people could go simply to have a party, and that's what they were doing tonight. You can see it in the background. That's the tower that we've been showing you all evening long. It's in the heart of the city, and then this is what happened.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But you know what? See, right about now, we have the privilege of working with this.
right at the conclusion of a song by Jack Mack and the Heart Attack, which has been playing there all week long. That explosion occurred. Now, a record producer with the band, an NBC cameraman on a tower, and a KNBC cameraman working on the ground all said that they were told by security personnel that there had been a bomb threat. People were beginning to be cleared back from the area when the explosion occurred, but they couldn't clear everyone out. And obviously, there is a kind of delicate line there, because you don't want to panic folks by saying we've got a bomb threat, but they want to clear them away from what could be harm's way. And it could have been a lot worse, obviously, if they hadn't cleared out the area. That's where it happened. You can see some structural damage to that tower that has been set up there in the middle of the pavilion. And it appears, this is a live picture now of downtown Atlanta once again. And under normal circumstances, we would be showing you this saying, the city of Atlanta, all lit up and ready to have a party as it's been having a party for the past 7 days. Now, the city of Atlanta having to deal with this wound to its heart, to the psyche of this city and to the spirit of the Olympic Games. But Olympic officials are determined that the Games will go forward today. They'll lower the flags to half-staff. They'll have a moment of silence. It's a decision that will be second-guessed by a lot of people. But on the other hand, the argument can always be made you cannot be held hostage by the madness, by the depravity of these people who can assemble some kind of a crude explosive device and plant it among innocent people, the most innocent people, who are gathered here in Atlanta. Mike Landis, who is an WXIA anchor, is in his newsroom now with some late material for us. Mike?
Actually, Tom, we're looking at a situation in which the young people who were in that park tonight had been dancing and singing before this concert took place. Our newscast went on the air at 12:34 tonight, off a little bit after 1 o'clock. Our crew had cleared the building altogether, had headed down the street about a block and a half away when we heard the explosion, which can only be described as something like if you've seen a fireworks display, not unlike the opening ceremonies or 4th of July just 3 weeks ago, and suddenly we heard sirens with all of this gear inside of it. And in that park, for all of this to take place out, just to give you an overview for people who are not familiar with the park, this is the crown jewel of Atlanta's spirit and community. It is filled with people each and every night. We've broadcast live from there over and over again. The eyewitnesses that we talked to were shocked and stunned and angry, some of them. They told us that what they saw was a giant smoke ball go up in the air after the flash of the initial explosion. That they saw people who were screaming and running away and terrified by what had taken place. Others who just stood around and were stunned and had no idea what had taken place. And of course, most of us didn't for a very long time until we got more information. We also got information from one of the sound technicians also on that tower who had told us again about the warning, getting everybody out of there. He described that package or bag, as you've described it, as a nylon bag, and they had moved everybody out of the way. And so at that point in time, very shortly after that, of course, the explosion took place, and we have seen the aftermath of that now. We're trying to figure out what it is and looking for more information from authorities as to what took place. We have an eyewitness now that we want to share with you. Told us what he had seen.
Our sound man was out in the sound booth, and they noticed somebody had put a paper bag. They didn't see the person, but they noticed a paper bag sitting in front of the sound booth. And my friend thought it might be a bomb. He went and looked at it, and it looked like a bomb. They called the police. They got everybody out of the sound booth. And luckily, they cleared the sound booth and the people around that area. I think some policemen came over. They noticed it might have been a bomb, and they got just far enough away, and it went off.
And of course, you heard that sound. It was just an amazing thing. And the concussion, as I say, our crew was a block and a half away, and it just thumped you on the chest even from that far. Back to you, Tom.
All right, thanks very much, Mike Landis, who was, as he said, just a block away. He is with WXIA, which is our NBC affiliate here in Atlanta. We've been using the phrase shrapnel throughout the evening. Shrapnel, of course, comes from the explosive device itself. Then there is the residual impact of the pieces of metal that may come off towers and that kind of thing. That's not technically shrapnel, but we're going to use that phrase throughout the evening to describe what has been going on here. We do want to remind you that the Olympic Games will go on because that we have learned from sources within the Olympic Committee. They will lower the flags to half-staff. They will have a moment of silence. We're looking at live pictures now down on Centennial Park which was a scene of such great joy for the past 7 days. And now there will be, understandably, a much more somber mood over the city and these games. But the athletes are scheduled to leave the Olympic Village this morning at 5:30 to go to those events that have an early schedule attached to them. The Olympic Village is about 5 miles from Centennial Park. It is heavily secured. It is well away from this area. Centennial Park was the pride and joy of the Atlanta Committee on the Olympic Games. Billy Payne wanted that to be part of his enduring legacy, having worked so hard for the past decade to bring these games to the city, because it was a place where people could go and simply enjoy Southern hospitality, and they were able to do that until tonight. You can see it's in the middle of downtown Atlanta. The Georgia Dome is just off to the left. That's where the big basketball venue has been and where the gymnastics have been played out as well. Grady Memorial Hospital, you can see at the bottom, we've been going there throughout the course of the evening, not too far away by freeway, and that's the big trauma center for Fulton County, which is the home county of the city of Atlanta. We're going to share with you now just how traumatic this was for people who were there. Just fair warning, these are some eyewitnesses who had a very bad emotional experiences, and this is how they reacted to what they experienced.
You are so shaken up. You said the person in front of you fell to the ground?
I was talking to him.
Thank God her boyfriend is a medic and just jumped into the scene and just started administering first aid and started doing everything that they possibly could. And I must say, man, the response from the people in Atlanta was just phenomenal. At least the professionals in Atlanta was just phenomenal.
Did you see any injuries? Did you see?
Oh yeah, there was a guy that dropped right in front of me. Guy dropped right between my 2 feet. I mean, it was just.
Did the ground shake?
No. I mean the ground. I mean when he fell, no. But when the ground, yeah, it did.
We're back. All the eyewitnesses have pretty much the same account. They saw a flash, then heard an explosion. People, in some instances, began to drop around them. People were momentarily stunned. Then they began to leave the area. Police moved in and forced them from the area so they could begin the investigation and to begin the process of treating those who were injured, the process of triage, determining which of the victims would go to which hospitals. At the Atlanta Committee for the Olympic Games, the headquarters here in downtown Atlanta, NBC's Jim Gray has been standing by with Roger O'Neill from NBC News and John Frankel. Let's go back to Jim Gray right now.
Okay, Tom, we have a little bit of some new information, and we've been told by a high-ranking ACOG official who came in some time ago and did not want to be identified, that they had several threats, that in the past 3 or 4 days that some threats had come in. They took them all serious, and they alerted enforcement and security officials, and that more people were being deployed. And Roger O'Neill, you have a little bit more on this story.
Well, I don't know that it's more as much as it's new, and it bears repeating, and that is that the warning that came in, apparently through a 911 call, the people who were at the site of the explosion received several minutes warning, and it was a site-specific kind of warning. People who were on this tower that we talked about, where we think the bomb was, the pipe bomb that we're hearing was that went off, had several minutes warning, and they were specifically told that the bomb was at the tower as opposed to some general location where most of the people were. So it was kind of a site-specific threat. What that says, I don't know, but that's the information. ATF, FBI, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation all on scene. FBI saying, confirming it is more than an electrical problem, which leads you to the conclusion that it has to be a bomb. That just merely confirms the kind of information we've been hearing most of the morning.
Roger, take us through the chain of command and what happens typically when a threat comes in over the course of several days.
Well, there's some evaluation that is done certainly by the people who are taking in those kinds of telephone calls, and then if they judge the seriousness of it, they will pass it on to the on-site officials, and clearly that was done early this morning, because the people who we've been talking to who were at the site of the explosion were given the warning. So it was the kind of a warning that officials took seriously, had several minutes time to try and get people cleared out and away, and that may account for some of the situation on scene where the injuries appear not to be all that serious, although some certainly were.
Let's bring in John Franco. John, of course, on the Today program. John, you were just up the street near a bank of telephones. We've heard about a 911 call, and there's some police guarding just about a block and a half away from here, some telephones. What do you know?
That's right. We spoke to an officer named Avery who, as we came up the street on Spring Street, told us that we couldn't get any closer than probably 3 or 4 feet to a bank of public telephones. And asking him why, he said, I can't tell you that at this point. And I said, did it have anything to do with the detonation of what could be a bomb? And he said, I really can't tell you that. As to whether a phone call perhaps alarming people of the bomb that had gone off, whether it was a 911 call that came from those phones, we don't know. Again, the officer just insisted that he couldn't tell us, and we couldn't get any closer than 3 or 4 feet to that bank of telephones. And so most of the information that we've gotten is from various eyewitnesses who were at range from 30 feet to the stage to 100 yards from the stage of the incident.
John, Roger, thank you. As you can hear, helicopters flying above us. The helicopter response coming about an hour ago. There had been no response from any helicopters about the first hour, hour and a half of this tragedy down here. Now they are filling the skies with spotlights. And also, if we can just turn our camera around, there is still a flood of people who are waiting to get into this press conference, and a lot of people who are simply just trapped in downtown Atlanta with nowhere to go. They've kind of huddled around the police here, feeling as though maybe they are a little bit more secure in this area with all the police, with the FBI and the other agencies that are here, as well as many members of the media, some who have been taken out of the building, some who are still in the building, waiting for ACOG, the IOC, as well as you hear the helicopters now, as well as the IOC, police officials and other agencies to get to a press conference, which we had originally heard would be about an hour and 15 minutes ago, revised to about 15 minutes ago, and there is still no movement inside ACOG headquarters. Tom, that's the story from outside ACOG headquarters right now.
All right, thanks very much, Jim Gray. This is the maddening reality of our times, of course. The Olympic Games really are the quintessential celebration of excellence and achievement and determination, and people who come from all over the world to applaud that, and then to have them so crudely and tragically interrupted by what appears to be a single willful person with some cheap materials and a twisted mind going to Centennial Park tonight and some kind of an explosive device, the nature of which we don't know exactly yet. But plainly, there was an explosive device at that tower. Perhaps as many as 100 people were injured, at least one confirmed dead at a hospital, perhaps as many as 4. And it has changed the character, obviously, of these games. But they will go on. The Olympic officials and Georgia state authorities are determined to have these games go on as scheduled today so that this nation and these games and this city will not be held hostage by those kinds of acts of depravity. But vigilance will be required of everyone, quite obviously. By the way, the U.S. Red Cross has now set up a helpline, please, for families only. Please, for families only. The number is 404-685-8285. 404-685-8285. If you have not been able to reach a family member who may be here in Atlanta and you want to get some additional assistance, that's the number to call. The U.S. Red Cross always on the scene in events quite like this. So to bring you up to date, we're awaiting a press conference from the International Olympic Committee and from the Atlanta Committee on the Olympic Games. We expect that they will not show up until they've heard from the FBI about what they want to do. We have quite remarkable tape, however, taken by Mark Field, a cameraman from KNBC, of what was described to him as a suspicious package. He was told to move back by police, and shortly after that, the explosion occurred. Here in sequence, first the package, then the explosion. This is immediately after the explosion. You saw the package, then the explosion occurred. The police are down on the ground. That is, that's Ron, the sound man for Mark Field, our cameraman. The police were in the area clearing him out. They'd gotten him back about 50 feet at the time that the explosion went off, and Mark, for his part, is persuaded it was that package. He said it's exactly where it occurred.
He's with me! Go! He's with me! You better go now! He's with me, sir! That's my partner! Go!
Mark is trying to get his sound man out of there, obviously. We're happy to report that Monleedamara is not seriously injured. He was taken to a hospital. He's treated, and he's already been released, and his family has been notified. The circumstances are not so happy for other people who were injured. We think that there's been at least one dead, perhaps as many as 4 who were killed in this explosion tonight. We will not know that until we have the press conference involving the Olympic Committee officials and city officials and state authorities, and my guess is that we'll probably hear from some federal authorities as well. The Justice Department now is in charge of this investigation. They've got a lot of bomb squads in Atlanta, and they're there. Let's go now to one of the doctors at one of the hospitals.
We've seen probably about 31 patients. We are getting the process of evaluating. We've had 2 of them in the operating room right now, and they're both stable. They're being taken care of. Up there, we've had 1 fatality that came in early on, and the other patients right now seem to be relatively stable. We're in the process of evaluating and getting them assessed.
Dr. Anderson, what's the nature of the injuries of the 2 who are on the operating room?
They seem to be general abdominal, truncal type injuries. Both are stable right now, being dealt with by our surgeons upstairs.
And the injuries?
All right, we're hearing that was at Grady Memorial Hospital, which is the county public hospital. It's right next to a freeway, not too many blocks away from Centennial Park where the explosion occurred. Let's go now to Cynthia Tinsley of WXIA, our NBC affiliate in Atlanta. They've had their reporters scattered across the city tonight. Cynthia?
Well, Tom, earlier we decided to go back downtown just to see what the scene was like. We stopped by some hotels where we did notice that people were leaving because they said they were afraid to be here considering the explosion that happened earlier at Centennial Olympic Park. One of the people I caught up with was U.S. swimmer Janet Evans. She happened to be at a party for her retirement at the Swatch Pavilion when the bomb went off, or the explosion happened. She said that she was out on the balcony looking at the concert that was going on. The crowd had just walked back inside when she said glass just started flying everywhere and debris rained down on the people inside the party. Here's how she describes it.
Everything just went, and so all I remember just hearing shattering, and then some security guards came and covered all of us, and we all held hands, and we didn't know what to do because we were scared because it was glass, and they said, okay, leave Centennial Park as soon as you can, and we all held hands and ran out.
Janet was visibly shaken just going over the events of what had happened. She says it was all a blur. It happened so very quickly. She was at a downtown hotel waiting to talk to some of her friends in the Olympic Village. Their sentiments, Tom, seem to be the same. They all said they just want to go home.
Well, you can't blame them for that, Cynthia. On the other hand, a lot of people are going to be determined to stay here and get on with the Olympic Games, but it's going to change the character and the mood of the Games indisputably, and with good reason. We want to now just show you the videotape of the interview that Janet Evans was conducting with German television at the time of the explosion. You'll see what she went through.
She has so many people bothering her all the time. I didn't want to be another person.
And nobody's bothering you, right?
Well,
I've got too much telephone traffic in my ear. We're back. We're live. We're looking at Centennial Park now. You're looking right down into the heart of Atlanta from the blimp. And we're going to show you now an interview with Mark Field, who is a KNBC cameraman who took that video of the suspicious package, and he describes from beginning to end what his experience was like at 1:15 this morning. Videotape is not yet ready. Mark Field is apparently, that videotape is not quite ready. I will just tell you that he was standing not too far away from the tower when the explosion occurred because he had been moved back by Atlanta police. He took some video of a suspicious package. He said it was a soft leather satchel, as he described it, leaning up against the tower. As he moved back, there was this explosion. He is persuaded in his own mind that that was the origin of this blast, and he believes that it was some kind of a crude bomb. The Justice Department has not yet confirmed that, but they are now saying it was an explosive device. All the indications are that it was probably a pipe bomb or some kind of crude bomb of that kind. There we are looking now at the tower. And then once again, live in Atlanta, Georgia, down on Centennial Park, which we've been describing as the crown jewel, the pride and joy of the Atlanta Committee on the Olympic Games. They wanted this to be the enduring legacy of these games, not just athletic venues, but a place in the city where folks could congregate in the heart of Atlanta to bring people back into this great southern metropolitan area, which has been through so much in its long history. It has been a very modern city, obviously, for the past 50 years. These Olympic Games were to be the capstone of the closing days of the 20th century for Atlanta, which was the upset and surprise winner of the 100th Olympic Games. They worked so hard to make sure everything went off very well. And until tonight at 1:15 a.m., we can say that with some very minor exceptions, these games have gone on well. People have had a very good time. And we'll tell you, as one who's gone back and forth to a lot of the venues and a lot of the places, that when we began a week ago, that the security was a little bit tighter than it has been in the closing days of this week, but still it's been very stringent at the venues. But in Centennial Park, you could come and go as you please, because there had to be a place where folks could go simply to have a good time. And that was the idea of Centennial Park. Rock concerts there every night, minor groups playing off to the side, pin trading going on. Merchants had set up various venues. The Swatch Watch Company, which is the official timer for the Olympic Games, had a large site overlooking that area. The Atlanta Chamber of Commerce is right there. The International Broadcast Center, from which we're broadcasting, is just a half a block away. CNN is located right there. There's another hotel in that area. Lots of the merchants who were both official sponsors of the games and otherwise were set up in that area. In downtown Atlanta, you're looking now at the site of this explosion. We are awaiting a news conference by the Atlanta Committee on the Olympic Games and the International Olympic Committee. We're told reliably that the games will go forward. That's the press conference site. No one has appeared yet because we think that they probably want to hear from the FBI before they come out. It would serve little purpose to say only that the games will go forward if we don't know, in fact, what happened here and what other arrangements can be expected now in the coming hours and coming days. Let's go to Mike Landis now at WXIA. That's our NBC affiliate. Mike?
Tom, we had talked earlier about the fact that to get into that particular area around the tower there, that they had some security. They did have a fence around that area. This is the little pass that you needed to be able to get up in there, and there was a security guard outside that fenced area around the tower that you would show this to, and then you could get up to go inside, and you could broadcast from in there, or if you were working lights or sound or whatever. And it is quite a surprise that someone might have been able to get in there and leave something. As we pointed out over and over again, the park itself, of course, has been filled with people. It's been designed to hold as many as 50,000 people at different times. The crowds are constantly moving. The scene that you're looking at now was taken immediately after the explosion took place by the NBC cameraman. Here is an area in which people were dancing and having a great time listening to this band, Jack Mack and the Heart Attack, and generally just enjoying the evening. Being out in downtown Atlanta, a city that's been trying so hard to rebuild its image, this crime image that's gone on for so long, suddenly it is filled with people every night of these Olympic Games coming down to the park, which is absolutely beautiful. And they are busy trying to, as you can see here, trying to help the people that have been hurt by all of this, who are stunned by all of this. You can see people wandering around in shock. You can see others that just are trying to help as best they can. The response of the people really is quite amazing. The first siren that I heard was probably within, I would say, 45 seconds to a minute after the explosion took place. It happened very, very quickly, and the response time was right there. The security people, of course, once they realized what they had on their hands, then, of course, had to move people out of there. You saw some video earlier. You see ambulances now bringing people in. At one point in time, the officers locked arms and started moving down the street to move people out so they could get these victims to get their wounds taken care of. The numbers that we've heard so far, we've come up with 31 over at Grady Hospital who have been treated. One death has been reported there, 51 treated at other hospitals, and we're still getting information. Most of these are walking wounded is the term that we've used. Back to you, Tom.
All right, thanks very much, Mike Landis. We just want to tell you that President Clinton was awakened in the middle of the evening to be told about this by his White House Chief of Staff, Leon Panetta. The president's had a wonderful time here in Atlanta. He had gone back, obviously. Vice President Al Gore here as well. In fact, he was here late last night. I'm not sure whether he stayed overnight or returned to Washington. They bring with them their own considerable security. Most of the venues had very stringent security requirements. The Centennial Park was a place that you could go in and out of pretty easily. And one who was there tonight is Tom Johnson of WIS in Columbia, South Carolina. Tom, you were there when the explosion occurred?
Yeah, Tom, I was about 100 yards up the hill from it, and we heard what I could only describe as a tremendous boom that shook the ground, and it caught our attention. We looked down the hill, and we saw a large, bright white puff of smoke rise about 30 feet into the air. It took us about 30 seconds to make our way down to the area where the explosion came from, and we saw 2 victims on the ground in the middle of the intersection, both being attended to by about 10 or 15 bystanders and emergency workers that quickly, about 30 seconds after we heard the boom.
And you talked to the FBI afterward?
No, I haven't, but I am standing at the opposite side of the park right now, and in the past, I would say 15 minutes, some type of tactical squad has moved in and began ringing the park about every 20 feet. And the best way I could describe them is they are all decked out in black riot gear from head to toe, some of them wearing what appear to be combat helmets, others wearing black berets.
All right, Tom Johnson, thank you very much. Those people, the tactical squad, probably are part of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Georgia has a state unit that has been almost everywhere here, many of them at the Olympic Village where the athletes are staying, which I've been saying repeatedly is about 5 miles away. Let's go now to one of the WXIA reporters at the Olympic Village.
Tom, Steve Avison from WXIA. We're overlooking the Athletes Village here. This is where the Today Show has been broadcasting every morning since the games began. There are 2 sections of the Athletes Village, both of them very secure. First, I want to give you a perspective of exactly where we are. Each morning, the Today Show has been broadcasting outside, technically, of the Olympic Village. That is for security reasons. Just over the fence here, you've seen Al Roker in the morning interacting with village personnel. That is the international side of the village. This is the place where athletes are meant to gather, to meet each other in a friendly circumstance. Outside of that area is the residential side of the village, and that is exactly where there is a little bit more privacy and a lot more security. This morning when we came here, it was a lockdown. People were not allowed to come in. People were not allowed to come out. We had to wait almost an hour and 15 minutes before we were given clearance to come in and report from where we are right now. Jim Gray was talking a little bit earlier about the helicopters. There are several helicopters over the village right now. Understandably, they're anxious to make sure that all of the athletes who reside in the village get home to safe base now so they can continue this lockdown procedure.
Steve, are the lights on in the various dormitories? Are athletes up and are they aware of what's happened? Do you know?
I can't report for sure, although I'm fairly certain that they are, because we've seen a stream of athletes come into the village here, many of them brought by private vehicles. Obviously, they've made friends, they've explored the Atlanta area. Centennial Park is one of the prime destinations. That is where there's entertainment. That is where there's a place to meet family at the AT&T Global Village. That's been a safe place for athletes to connect with their family. We've seen probably 36 athletes come into the village, so I'm sure the word has spread. Lights were on when we arrived. Lights continue to be on there right now.
And what about additional security requirements? It's been tough to get into that village under the best of circumstances all week long. You had to wait for a special clearance tonight. Are they going to ratchet up the security? Are they going to require some additional passes and so on?
I'm not sure about passes, Tom. My guess is that they're going to definitely ratchet it up. Because this happened in the middle of the night on the weekend, there are several different security organizations who have been working in concert from well before the beginning of the games. And when we arrived, there were 3 different security arms discussing whether or not we ought to be allowed inside the village, rightfully so. My guess is that once they've buttoned down exactly how they want to secure that, they may in fact decide that they want to have another pass. But the truth is, this has been the most secure place in the entire games area, probably the most secure place in the world since the beginning of the games. They've been very concerned about the athletes, and I'm sure they'll continue to be so.
All right, we're going to show you a map now so you can see where Centennial Park is and where the Atlanta Olympic Village has been located. That's at Georgia Tech, and it's just north of Centennial Park. The university complex down on the left-hand side is Atlanta University, where some of the practice sessions have been going on. We're going to go to the press conference now. The Atlanta Olympic Committee and the International Olympic Committee, which have been working quite closely together, not always in agreement, but the International Olympic Committee is the ultimate governing body of the Olympic Games. The ACOG is, of course, the committee that runs the Atlanta Games. I can hear. I think there's just some preliminary announcements being made about the crowded conditions. Well, we'll go back to that news conference as soon as we're able to get an audio signal out of there. We want to show you the tape now with Mark Field that we tried to show you a few moments ago. He's a KNBC cameraman who was at the tower, told to get back because they had a suspicious package. He took some video of it and then got back, and then the explosion occurred. Here's Mark's version of what happened to him.
Well, Tom, I was just coming back to my live position, and a security guard had come over and told us that there's a suspicious package over there, and we're going to ask the crowd to move away, so you better move your live gear. At that point, I shot a picture of the package, which you're looking at right now. It looked like a leather type of, just one of those small, soft leather bags, you might say. And at this point, the crowd that had been in front of my live location had already been evacuated. And at this point, I was moving my gear back and resetting to establish my signal live. And just as I was about to start rolling tape, there was a loud explosion, a flashbang explosion. My partner, Ron, was with me, was hurt. I like to say that he's okay. If his wife is listening, he's fine. And I was really concerned about him, and just like everyone else, I was in shock.
Mark, do you have any idea whether, in fact, that package was the source of the explosion?
Tom, as far as I'm concerned, that was the explosion. I saw the explosion. I was watching it. It was right in that location. I'm going to say 99% sure it was that package that at the bottom left-hand corner of the mixed tower, as we call it. That's the sound and lighting stage. And we normally do our live shots approximately 15, 20 feet from that.
All right, that's Mark Field, who is describing to all of us what happened to him tonight. Now, just about 4 hours ago, it happened at 1:15 this morning here in Atlanta. An explosion. It does now appear that it was some kind of a crude bomb. It could have been in that leather satchel that you saw in that videotape taken by Mark Field. Let's go now to Jim Gray, who's outside the committee headquarters of the Atlanta Committee on the Olympic Games and what's going on with the press conference that we've been expecting for about 30 minutes now. Jim, there's been an enormous traumatic effect, obviously, on the city of Atlanta, on the athletes who come here who are trying to stay focused on events that they have prepared virtually all of their lifetime for. But now this, which is a crime scene.
So many people bothering her all the time.
This is what happened last night.
And nobody's bothering you, right?
Well,
Janet Evans being interviewed by German television when the explosion occurred. You look at her face.
Get out there.
This then is another view of what happened.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But you know what? See, right about now we have the privilege of working with this.
This is the aftermath. General chaos, but a very rapid response from medical emergency teams and from law enforcement officers. Tape has been secured by the FBI.
Across the street from Fat Tuesdays over to Centennial Park. I don't even want to know what's going on down there.
A 911 tape, a caller saying a bomb would go off there.
Yeah, there's people down. There are people injured, and they're bleeding in their legs, and there's people down.
It was like a shock wave that hit you. You saw it, because we were looking that way anyways. You saw it, then you felt it.
It was pandemonium. There were people on the ground. I saw at least maybe 4 or 5 people on the ground.
We were so close. That's why I thank the Lord. I just can't believe how close we were. And people around us literally dropped.
Still more aftermath. Many of the injuries were superficial, although several people were critically hurt. There are first-rate hospitals in the area, including one of the best trauma wards in the country at Grady Memorial Hospital, which is the Fulton County Hospital, a large public facility here. President Clinton has made 2 visits to the Olympic Games with his family. He went back just the other night after the gymnastics competition. He was awakened in the middle of the night by his Chief of Staff, Leon Panetta, and then kept abreast of the developments throughout the evening. Let's go to the White House now, where the president is preparing to go to Camp David for the weekend. NBC's John Palmer is standing by. John, what's the schedule?
Well, Tom, we're about to hear from the president at 6 minutes after 10 o'clock. That's the normal time for his Saturday morning radio broadcast. He's going to use that time period this morning to go before the cameras in the briefing room and give his reaction to the bombing in Atlanta. White House Press Secretary Mike McCurry told us just a few minutes ago that the president was outraged when he was awakened at 2 o'clock this morning, about 35 minutes after the explosion, and he was told about it. And throughout the early morning hours, the president has received a number of briefings from his Chief of Staff, Leon Panetta. He has talked with Mr. Free, the head of the director of the FBI, and he planned telephone calls to the governor of Georgia, Zell Miller, to Mayor Campbell of Atlanta, to talk with Billy Payne of the Atlanta Organizing Committee for the Olympics, and also with the head of the International Olympic